Hello everyone, this is part 22 of What If Naruto Was in Rosario Vampire, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The Namikaze estates were a few miles from the tower. As the three of them walked along, Naruto and Mocha both noted the looks they were drawing. Seeing those looks on people's faces brought Naruto right back to the old days. Of course, back then he'd also felt confused and guilty whenever people would glare at him. He didn't know why they were doing it and thought it had to be his fault somehow. Being with Jiraiya seemed to mitigate things, as no one did more than look. When they finally reached the estates, they discovered they were located next door to the Hyuga. "You and the Hokage are going to be neighbors," Jiraiya announced. "Great," Naruto said dully. The estates themselves were about 3 square miles and surrounded by a 10-foot-tall wrought iron fence. The main gate was open and the three of them traveled up the walkway. There were trees and other vegetation all along the perimeter of the estates, effectively hiding the mansion from public view. It was only after walking a ways that they cleared the woods and got a clear look. It was magnificent. The building was 3 stories and made of white stone that seemed to almost shine in the sunlight. There was a wide and neatly mowed lawn in front, and he could spot a pond or small lake directly behind the massive building. To the side there were a number of shrubs with many flowers growing. It really was something to look at. He also noted that there were a number of people standing outside the main entrance patiently awaiting their arrival. Jiraiya handed him a large key ring with 50 or so keys on it. "These are the master keys. Until just recently this entire area was sealed and secured. When the Hokage learned what had happened, he ordered it readied for you. He even hired a staff on your behalf." "How nice of him," Naruto muttered. Mocha's impression was a bit different. "It's not too bad. It's about half the size of the castle I grew up in." Jiraiya and Naruto both looked at her. "You're joking," Jiraiya said. "Not at all," Mocha replied. "My father, Lord Akashia, was a very powerful and wealthy man. I grew up with all the wealth and material comfort anyone could want." She looked at Naruto and pressed herself a little closer to him. "And I hated it." Naruto smiled at her. "Well, growing up poor isn't much fun either. Speaking of which," he glanced at Jiraiya. "Why was that exactly? If all this belonged to me, why did I have to end up in a crappy one-bedroom efficiency in the worst part of the village?" Jiraiya frowned at him. "It was decided that for your own safety you could not have any of the fortune until you were an adult. As for growing up poor, I did too, Naruto. A ninja shouldn't require a lot of comforts. I wasn't a ninja then, and I don't think having hot water or decent locks on the door, or enough food to not be hungry would have been asking too much." "You didn't have enough food," Mocha said, sounding upset. He gave her an embarrassed look. "Well, old man Sarutobi gave me a decent stipend that should have been enough. But the shop owners either refused to sell to me or they charged me 3 or 4 times what everyone else paid. The reason I fell in love with ramen was because it was so cheap, and there was this little ramen shop that was the only place it was safe for me to eat at. So even though you were the only son of their most beloved hero, you were allowed to go hungry." She glared at Jiraiya. "What a wonderful place this is. Now Mocha-chan, don't be mad at my godfather, he had nothing to do with any of that. After all," Naruto said pleasantly. "He'd long since forgotten about me by then." Jiraiya sighed. "I've already told you how sorry I am for that, Naruto. I'm here now. Doesn't that count for something?" "Not really. You see, godfather, the funny thing is that I don't really want or need any of this. The mansion, the money, the Namikaze name, your help, these were all things I'd have wanted back when I was a helpless kid. They don't matter to me now." He looked at Mocha and gently squeezed her hand. "I already have everything I need." Jiraiya could see that things between the two of them were still not improved. He could only hope to change that over time. As they approached the mansion, one of the servants stepped forward. He was short, gray-haired man in a neat black suit. He bowed low to them. "Welcome to the Namikaze estates. I am Tenzin, the master servant." He looked carefully to Naruto. "Are you Naruto-sama?" Naruto actually began to laugh. "No, I am definitely not Naruto-sama. You may as well get used to it, Naruto, Jiraiya told him. As head of the Namikaze clan, you definitely are a lord now. There is nothing wrong with letting the servants be respectful to you, Mocha added. It's good that they know their place. Yeah, I'm not really interested in Ortals. He gave Tenzin a big smile. Are these all the servants the Hokage hired for me? The man nodded respectfully. Yes, Naruto-sama, we wanted to come out and welcome you to your ancestral home. My ancestral home. Well, how nice, and I'm glad you're all here. That'll make things quicker. He looked past Tenzin to the gathered servants. You're all fired, please get your things and go. What? Tenzin looked shocked. The other servants all began to talk as well. Don't worry, I'll give you all a month's salary as compensation. But please leave. Mocha frowned at him but did not say anything. What the hell are you doing, Naruto? Jiraiya demanded. I've never needed anyone to take care of me before and I don't now. He said simply. This place has over 300 rooms, Jiraiya pointed out. Mocha-chan and I won't be using all of them. I'm sure we'll be fine without any hired help. He looked at her. Right, Mocha-chan. Though still frowning, she nodded. If you say so, Naruto. Naruto turned back to Jiraiya. Well, thanks for bringing us here, Godfather. I look forward to seeing you and Sasuke tomorrow. Don't you want me to at least give you a tour of this place? Nope. I like exploring. XXXXXXXXXX. It took a while for all the servants to get their personal belongings and go. Naruto made a point of watching every last one of them depart and then shutting and locking the main gate. Back inside the mansion, Mocha was waiting on him in the vast ballroom just inside the entrance. Why did you fire the servants? She asked. I didn't say anything in front of Jiraiya, but he did have a point, you know. Do you really expect the two of us to be able to take care of this huge place? 15 servants means 15 spies, Naruto said. You can bet they'd tell the Hokage and others about everything they saw or heard. There's no way I'm letting that many strangers get close to me. Well, I'll admit I hadn't thought of that. But still, how are we going to run this place with just the two of us? He just grinned at her. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. With a massive puff of smoke, 100 clones appeared, all of them holding a set of the master keys. There we go, all the help we could ever need, and no doubts about loyalty. Now let's explore, guys. The clones gave a cheer and got moving in every direction, with most heading up the grand staircase. When they were eventually dispelled, he would have a thorough understanding of the mansion and grounds. Mocha gave him an amused look. Well, I'll admit that's one solution. But how are you going to explain being able to perform that jutsu since you only know 2 of them? Every clan house has a private library with jutsu scrolls. I'll just tell everyone I stumbled on the right scroll and learned it in a single night. He laughed a bit. I get the feeling I'll be picking up a lot of jutsus out of the library, and I think I'll learn the ones Jiraiya teaches me pretty quick too. XXXXXXXXXX. Using the clones, Naruto was able to figure out where things were in short order. The mansion had an indoor pool, a dojo, a cavernous kitchen, a library, with jutsu scrolls, and much else. Such as the master bedroom. Mocha flopped down onto the wide bed. She liked how soft and comfortable it was. Her body felt as though it was slowly sinking down into it. Still lying on her back, she glanced up at her husband. Care to join me? She teased. She was surprised when he didn't immediately answer her. Naruto-kun. He was staring at a portrait that was on the wall. It was of his parents. They were dressed up in traditional clothing and both looking very happy. This is their wedding portrait, he said quietly. They were married less than a year. I'm sure they thought they were going to have a long and happy life together. She silently slid off the bed and came over to his side, putting her arms around him. We aren't them, beloved. She carefully turned his head away from the portrait and towards her. We are going to have a long and happy life together. How can you be so sure? He asked a little morosely. She smiled easily. Because I know that you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. She kissed him and felt his soft lips touching hers. Now let's go to bed. He gave her a mischievous look. Not just yet, could you turn around for a second? Not sure why she did so. Like this. Yeah. She heard and felt the zipper to her dress being undone and the air caressing her body as her dress slipped to the floor. He put his lips to her ear and whispered, I love taking your clothes off. A delicious little shiver ran through her as his hands began removing her bra. They didn't get much sleep that night. XXXXXXXXXXX. Sasuke made it back to the village early the next morning. He was surprised to find his sensei waiting for him. Morning sensei, anything wrong? That all depends on your definition of right and wrong. Sasuke looked at him. What is that supposed to mean? Come with me Sasuke, Jiraiya said to him. We have to talk. XXXXXXXXXXX. What do you mean Itachi's S? Sasuke demanded. I mean just that, he is no longer among the living. This was always a possibility Sasuke, no matter how powerful a ninja is, no one is invincible. Sasuke fumed at the flip way his sensei tried to explain things. The truth was he had always just assumed that one day he would be the one to end his brother's life. He had never seriously considered any other possibility. Now his family would never be avenged. For Itachi to have SD at his hands would have been vengeance and justice on behalf of the Uchiha clan. Itachi's any other way was just a random act of an uncaring and fickle universe. By sheer luck someone had defeated his brother and now his family would never be avenged. His life's ambition had been a failure. Who cared him? Sasuke asked darkly. Ah, well now it's funny you should ask. You'll be meeting him tonight and starting tomorrow he'll be joining us in training and eventually on missions. He is Namikaze Naruto, son of the Yondaime and new clan head of Namikaze. Sasuke gawked at him. I thought the Namikaze clan was extinct. The Yondaime had a son on the same night that he SD. His existence was kept a secret and he was sent out of the village for his own safety. Itachi attacked him and was defeated. Sasuke wasn't sure what to think. It was all too bizarre. The Yondaime had an heir and he had just robbed him of his destiny. He decided for the time being to withhold judgment. I look forward to meeting him. He said coolly. Actually you have already met. He was in your first year ninja academy class for a month before he was sent out of the village. Sasuke frowned. You're mistaken. The only Naruto I remember from back then was this loud barker who was always wearing orange. He's no barker Sasuke and he doesn't wear orange anymore. Sasuke just stared at him not believing it. You have to be kidding. That idiot ked Itachi and he's the Yondaime's son and a clan head. Jiraiya sighed. Whatever impression you have of him from back then I suggest you wipe it from your mind. He's very dangerous and powerful and is only going to grow more so. Sasuke frowned but kept his thoughts on that to himself. Whatever, I want to talk to him. You'll get your chance tonight. He's throwing a party for the council members and clan heads. Fine, I can wait until then. Right now I need to talk to the Hokage. Huh, what for? If Itachi really is S then it's time for me to begin work on my second ambition. XXXXXXXXXX. The Hokage had been surprised by Sasuke's sudden request for a meeting. But as usual he was willing to accommodate the Uchiha clan head and agreed to meet with him immediately. As Sasuke usually did he got right to the point. Hokage-sama, I formally request permission to marry your daughter. Hiashi looked at him in surprise. I am very sorry Sasuke, but I am afraid that is not possible. She has been formally betrothed. Sasuke frowned. We have had conversations about her marrying me and forming an alliance between our clans. Now that Itachi is gone I am ready to begin repopulating my clan. Hinata is far and away the most desirable maiden in this village. Both in beauty and in blood she is the very best. It only makes sense that she should be mine. Hiashi nodded a bit sadly. In many ways Sasuke was the ideal husband for his daughter. He was a powerful ninja with a great bloodline and was well respected and liked by the whole village. Unfortunately Naruto had an edge in raw power, wealth, and even in prestige. I am sorry Sasuke, but I am afraid I have found a better match for her. If you are willing to wait 3 years I would agree to a marriage between you and my daughter Hanabi. Now Sasuke really did look surprised. He knew just how highly the Hokage thought of him. Who could you possibly prefer to me? Hiashi sighed. Namikaze Naruto. XXXXXXXXXX. That night the gates to the Namikaze estates were thrown wide open for the first time in over 16 years. Since yesterday the rumors had been flying about Naruto's return as well as the fact he was actually the Yondaime's son. The news that he had ked Itachi was generally not believed as it seemed even more incredible than his being the son of Namikaze Minato. The news that he had been seen with a strange and exotic beauty had also spread. A few of the council members such as Nara Shikaku were as curious about her as they were about Naruto. They were not to be disappointed. Mocha put her hair up and wore a magnificent gold silk kimono that depicted a sunrise. Despite her red eyes and fangs and aura of power, people were willing to accept that these were due to an unusual Kekkei Genkai. She was charming and intelligent and did not fail to win people over. Naruto was polite. He did not try to be warm or pretend to be especially open. He tried very hard to be correct and what he imagined people would expect him to be. Truthfully, he had no use for the majority of the people who were flocking through his new home. Just like the ordinary villagers, he despised the council members for that they had done to him. They had denied to him the protection his name and heritage might have given. They had allowed him to be poor and miserable when they easily could have taken some of the money that was his and used it to provide for him. They had done nothing at all to help him. Sarutobi was the only one in power who had tried to do right by him. But though he hated them, he had to placate them. So long as the Hokage and the council were ready to at least tolerate him, that meant he would have a free hand when it came to dealing with the villagers. So he smiled a little and answered their idiotic questions about where he had been and what he had done. He gave people tours of the mansion and agreed to visit various clans in the near future. He made mind-numbing small talk until he thought he would start screaming. Throughout the evening, well-dressed servants wandered through with trays filled with expensive wines and more food. There was a vast wine cellar and Naruto had called in caterers to provide the food. Despite being among the most powerful and elite of the ninja, none of them seemed to notice that the servants were all shadow clones disguised with henge. This was quite useful as people tended to forget about the servants, seeing them as almost extensions of the house. They would talk freely whenever Naruto and Mocha were a safe distance away, not thinking twice if a butler or maid happened to be standing nearby. He learned some interesting things. For one, it seemed they all believed that he was the secret weapon that would lead them to victory over their enemies. Being powerful ninja, they had all been required to serve in this war on the front lines. They had all suffered losses over the last 4 years. There was not a single clan present that had not lost members. Even a couple clan heads had been killed, as the leaders of Aburame and Yamanaka had been lost. The current clan heads were his own age. Shino seemed polite if rather quiet. Ino, on the other hand, had not forgotten their earlier run-in and had been condescending and discourteous without ever quite stepping over the line into outright rudeness. Naruto made a mental note to ask Mocha to try and make nice with her for him. He also learned that despite appearances, a good many of them were nervous about him. The older ones knew what was inside him and could remember that night 16 years ago. They also kept mentioning someone named Gaara. Apparently this Gaara had been a Suna Jinchuriki who'd also been something of a psychopath. He had enjoyed King regardless of whether the victim was friend or foe. It seemed he'd met a great many Suna citizens and been feared by his own village as much as he'd been respected. He'd finally been captured and killed by Akatsuki, leading to celebrations in both Konoha and Suna. Most of his guests viewed him in a similar vein. He was a double-edged sword. Naruto smiled gleefully when he found out about this. So they half expected him to be a psychopath, huh? That would be very useful. As the evening wore on, he excused himself and went to the bathroom, leaving for a short time without fanfare. XXXXXXXXXX. Pardon me, Danzo-san. Mocha spoke to the old ninja with a warm smile. Yes, my husband has found some interesting jutsu scrolls in our family library and was wondering if you would care to give your opinion on them. They seem to be about some sort of clan jutsu called the Harashin. Would you mind looking at them? Danzo nodded politely and revealed nothing of his thoughts. It was good that he did not believe in expressing emotions, or something of his excitement might have shown through. The Harashin had been the Yondaim's signature technique, the one that had made him the yellow flash of Konoha. So far as he knew, only one copy of the jutsu existed, and it was under heavy guard at the tower. If it really was another copy of that jutsu and he could somehow convince Naruto to part with it even for just a short time, it opened some interesting possibilities. I would be happy to look at it and give my opinion. Arigato, Danzo-san. She placed an arm on his and began to lead him away from the party and up the stairs. XXXXXXXXXX. It is right in here. Mocha opened the door to the library and entered it with him. Danzo was surprised to see two other already waiting. Homura, Koharu, what are you doing here? The two other council members frowned at him. I was told there was a special vintage of wine I had to try, Homura answered. I was informed there was a unique piece of art that he wanted me to appraise. Koharu said. A side door to the library opened and Naruto entered. Please forgive my little deceits, they were necessary to bring each of you here without quarrel. All three council members frowned at him. It is not wise to lie to members of the High Council, Koharu said frostily with every ounce of her dignity. Really? Naruto said with a smile. My sensei once taught me that deception was the lifeblood of a ninja. That is true on missions and when dealing with an enemy not here. Koharu said. I guess it all depends on who you see as the enemy. Naruto replied calmly. In any case, I asked the three of you here to show you an old order I have from the third Hokage. What foolish game are you playing? Danzo asked. Why would we have any interest in one of Sarutobi's old orders? Oh, but it's a very special order, here have a look. He held the paper out to them. None of them made a move to take it from him. This has wasted enough of my time, an annoyed Homura told him. I quite agree, she looked at Naruto like an old sensei about to discipline her charge. You need to learn proper behavior when dealing with your betters. My betters. Naruto sounded amused. And what makes you think you are better than me? Even if you are the son of the fourth, we three have been on the council longer than you have drawn breath. We are among the most respected and honored ninja of this village. Danzo stated. We are not to be lied to or mocked even by one such as you. I see, Naruto said seriously. Please forgive me for offending three such honorable people. But will you not read what I have here? I am leaving, Koharu said with all her dignity. Know that you have offended me and that I will inform others of this behavior. Homura and Danzo both nodded and moved for the door. Naruto unfolded the letter and began to read it out loud. By special order of the third Hokage Anbu agent Uchiha Itachi is hereby instructed to execute all members of the Uchiha clan both ninja and civilian. Executions are authorized due to the crimes of treason and rebellion. Upon completion of this mission Uchiha Itachi is to be recognized as Uchiha clan head and will be authorized to establish a new clan loyal to the village of Konoha and its acting Hokage. Naruto looked up from his reading material and was not surprised to find the three honorable council members frozen and looking at him in horror, even the stoic Danzo. As I am sure you all know, this order bears each of your signatures as well as the signature and seal of the third Hokage. Given what was being required of him, Itachi insisted on written orders, and that each of you sign so that you could not deny your part in the decision to end the Uchiha clan. He handed the paper to Danzo. You can keep that, it's just a copy, I have the original well hidden. Danzo stared at him. How did you get this? Itachi gave it to me. He also told me your dirty little secret before he SD. Sasuke wasn't supposed to survive, was he? Itachi said he wanted to spare Sasuke and that the third was willing, but that you three insisted that the entire clan had to for their plan to launch a coup. But even though he was able to his own mom and dad, he couldn't his little brother. So instead he spared Sasuke and fled the village as a missing nin. Now, what do you suppose would happen if I were to go downstairs and show everyone the original? How do you think Sasuke would react? Or the Hokage? Or the other council members? How would the village react to knowing the Uchiha had been ordered by the village hierarchy? No one would believe you. Koharu said. We would deny it. Who do you think they would believe? Oh, they would believe you except for the fact that the original bears the Hokage's seal. A simple ninjutsu will show the seal, and therefore the order, to be valid. If you implicate us, you would also be implicating the third Hokage. Danzo pointed out. If the old man were still alive, I would keep my mouth shut, Naruto said. But he's gone now, and I knew him well enough to know that he would accept the responsibility for the decision he made. Now what about you three? The three of them looked at each other. What do you want? Danzo asked. Nothing much, Naruto said in a friendly tone. I just want you three to serve me. XXXXXXXXXXX. Pardon me, you are Uchiha Sasuke, right? Sasuke turned around to find himself face to face with Naruto. That's me. Do you think I could have just a few minutes of your time? There's something I want to talk to you about. It's rather important. Sasuke nodded. Sure. Naruto led him upstairs to his private study. You know I remember you from before, Sasuke said as soon as the door to the study closed. Naruto nodded. I remember you too. I thought you were an idiot, Sasuke said flatly. Naruto chuckled. That's okay. I thought you were an arrogant spoiled rich kid. The two men faced one another silently. So what do you want? Sasuke finally asked. Naruto smiled. I am here to fulfill your brother's last request. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.